All right, we are live for 44 Tackles Shop Talk After Hours. I guess this is our third after hours talk on Friday night at 5:30. So I think we've had some good feedback from the first couple, and we're going to let some people roll into the live stream tonight. And tonight we've got our own Ty Townsend in the house.
What's going on, guys?
You may know Ty from the store here. Ty has worked here for how long now, Ty?
8 or 9 months.
8 or 9 months. So if anybody has any questions for Ty about working at 44 Tackle, I'm sure he's got some really good insight. He knows us in and out, more than probably most of us want to know. And we know a little bit more about Ty than anybody wants to know. But, I think we're doing something different and giving everybody a voice here at 44 Tackle to be a part of the live stream. And, it's cool to be able to talk to the people that, you see on the store every day. And then we've got Hunter moderating tonight.
What's up, guys?
Hunter Bland. He is the moderator for the night. We're going to keep letting some people come in. If you have any questions while we're waiting for everybody to roll in and kind of see the feed, make sure to go ahead and put it in. Hunter will get them out there, and shout outs, anything like that. We'll go ahead and get those out of the way when everybody's coming in. Or any questions you may think that you need to ask Ty or myself or Hunter that comes up throughout. Tonight we're going to go over some topics that Ty has kind of come up with, and some things that we've kind of, we get a lot of questions about here in the store. So I think we're going to have a pretty good episode tonight. Let me go ahead and get my TikTok live feed set up here. Anybody who doesn't follow me on TikTok, it's Chris Kingery Fishing. We do a lot of in-store stuff on TikTok as well. It's a little different than our normal social content. You can see a lot of the day-to-day stuff here at the store. Some, we get shipments in, the goofy stuff that goes on, a little bit of everything. So it's more than just the commercialized side of the business. It's more of actually what goes on here. Let me go ahead and get that set up. And how many people we got in right now, Hunter?
We got
10 to 20. All right. And we're live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube tonight. And then I've got my personal feed up here on TikTok as well. All right. And then, so Ty, while we're waiting on everybody to kind of roll in here, I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. So you grew up in Citrus County?
Yeah, I grew up in Citrus County. I was born in 2000, so I'm 20. I've been fishing really since I was little, and then I got out of it for a little bit, probably around high school, and got back into it a few years ago, and it stuck with me. I love doing it, really passionate about it. So working here was something I really wanted to do, and I love doing it. So
yeah, and it's cool because you're a customer before you worked here.
Yep.
You'd been coming in since you were 18.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there, you really got started fishing again. I guess you always fished with your dad. Your dad fishes in the Bass Club with us. Your mom likes she rides horses and stuff with my wife, and so it kind of became a natural thing for you to come on board, and we needed a little bit of help at the time, and then it's been a fun ride so far for us. I know that.
Oh yeah.
But what's your favorite part about working at 44 Tackle?
Definitely the people I work with, for sure. Not coming into work every day and looking forward to it and being able to joke around with you guys and stuff like that's really fun. If you can like doing what you do, it's makes it a lot better.
Well, they say that if you like what you do, or if you like what you do, you'll never work another day in your life.
Yep.
So hopefully that's the environment we keep going, and that's not something that you're just saying, obviously, but
no, for sure. I mean,
no pressure.
You guys are
great. But yeah, no, we're excited to keep growing, and I think we're doing a lot of cool things right now. Um, all right.
We got a bunch of people joining in. Kenneth Jr., the Rod Father's here.
All right.
Johnny Bigger's in the house.
Johnny.
Parker Pillsbury, Andrew. So we appreciate all you guys jumping in. But we got a great question to kick it off with. Kenneth asked, do they let you go fishing while working? I'd love to hear
Is
this
that Kenneth
answer.
Townsend?
It is not. It's Kenneth Claimer.
Claimer. Oh, okay, cool. So yes, that's for Ty then, I'm assuming.
Yes.
All right.
It's definitely happened. We've gone fishing before with you and stuff like that.
Yeah, we went out to Lake Russo.
Mhm.
Sometimes we go to before work sometimes, or one of the guys. What I like to do is give everybody the option to be on the water whenever it's possible, and that gives the best information possible to all of our customers. What I mean, sometimes you guys go fish. You and Dawson and whoever else that work for us. You all kind of stay on the water as much as possible. It also helps that you're near the lake, so you've got a little bit more option to go whenever you want, before work, after work, all that kind of stuff. How often would you say that you fish per week?
I mean, I have a boat that stays in the water, so I can pretty much go every day after work if I want to. I'd say probably 3 or 4 days out of the week I go on Hernando because I live there. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a tough lake sometimes, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, but we're very flexible with the guys that work here. They're all we we promote them to be active on the water, and so anybody that has worked for us, they've always known that their tournament schedule, if they bass fish, Hunter and I fish the opens, so I'm very cognizant, or willing to let people grow in the industry as well. It's great exposure for us, and it's great exposure for them, and the knowledge base that they learn by being able to fish whenever they want is has been great. And I don't know if I taught you anything when we've gone out so far. We've only gone out a couple times, but
Actually, I think I've learned a lot, every time I go with like either you or, I've gone with Taylor or Dawson. And I feel like I've learned actually quite a bit every time I go. I feel like my hook set actually changed a little bit after I went with you.
oh,
Which
why
was
is it?
yeah.
Because I was talking about how you had a mean hook set?
Yeah. No, so when we went, I think I always said it a little bit weird when I was fishing. Like, well, I think the biggest thing was like deeper water hook sets.
Right.
I feel like that definitely changed a little bit. And I felt like that kind of the sweeping motion you were talking about when we went out there was definitely different because I've always fished worms a lot, but staying inshore is definitely my thing. And when we went to Russo, that was very different than how I always fish. So
Yeah, and there's plenty of structure out on Russo, and it was fishing pretty good there for a while. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. I'm seeing a bunch of comments starting to roll in here. These are some good questions coming in. So I guess we'll go ahead and kick it off. I think that where do we want to start tonight, Hunter? We've got a couple topics on the table here.
Yeah. Junior actually asked, what's your go-to baits for fishing after dark in Lake Pan?
Oh, that must be for. By the way, there's a local open on Lake Pan, and that will be Saturday night. That's run by Dave Cutler and Citrus Bass. It's a 5 p.m. to midnight night tournament on Lake Panasoffkee out of Tracy's Point. That is probably going to be a fun tournament for anybody who's got the ability to make it for that. That is one to watch. Because last time I think they had 2 or 3 bags over 30 pounds. You'll probably see at least 5 to 6 bags over 20 pounds. That place is already a big fish factory, but now it's, when you do a night tournament, I think one of the biggest things I could suggest for a night tournament, it's usually something loud, especially in shallow water like that. It creates a lot more of a reaction bite. So loud and a dark profile on a bait usually is better. So like blacks and blues, blacks and browns, things like that are gonna make it to where you can the fish can make it out a little bit better would be the answer to, I guess, black and blue chatterbaits too, that puts out a lot of noise.
So Deborah Banka also asked, do you get feedback from customers on the newest baits that have come out? Ty, I'm gonna let you handle that one.
Feedback from customers, yeah, definitely. I mean, we get a lot of suggestions on stuff to get in the store and stuff like that, and we always try to write it down and find out what people are wanting and what works good. And definitely, I think feedback from customers is a big part in this.
Absolutely. We got a bunch of great questions coming in. Thank you guys for all the questions you're sending in. Vernon Kemp said, "What's up, fellas?"
What's going on, Vern?
We had Hardware join, a few other Taylor Greens in the house, another one of our employees. So if you guys have any more questions, continue to send them in. Please, have been all great questions.
Absolutely. We enjoy the feedback, and if there's things you'd like to see us talk about, please don't hesitate to let us know.
Rodfather says he's fishing his very first tournament with Dan on Yale Sunday.
On Yale with Dan Fay. Awesome. Man, that's man, I like Yale. I've only fished it twice, I think. Now anybody that doesn't know Lake Yale's over on the Harris chain. And it used to be connected, and then they dammed it off or levied it off. And now it's its own thing, but it's got a bunch of houses around it. It's got some good offshore grass, some gravel, brush piles, things like that. But it really has like a nice, good little swampy area, I like to call it, that has a good flipping bite, speedworm bite, frog bite, things like that. And I see the Rodfather on TikTok on live on there all the time, so he's a great one to watch out there.
Vernon Kemp asked if we had the GPS numbers for Hardware's magical grass lines.
Oh boy, the Lake Harris fight is coming. I've got a tournament on Sunday, so if anybody knows those magical grass lines, send them.
I think we start the bidding at $50. What do you think?
I'm in 50 cents. I think Vern's got more of them than anybody.
Deborah asked, do you think the storm has affected the bite on Hernando?
I don't know, Mr. Hernando. What do you think?
I don't think I've been out since the storm. But if I know anything about Hernando, is that lake changes pretty much every single day I fished it, and it feels like starting over. Just about every time I go out there is trying to figure out what they're wanting to bite on, and what bait they're wanting to hit and where they're at. Honestly, I mean, I fish a lot of canals out there. After a storm, I feel like it definitely does get a lot dirtier, and baits with like a lot of noise or spinner baits, chatter baits, things like that, buzz baits, those all work really good. Instead of getting more what they're looking at, I find that the noise really gets a lot of bites after it gets pretty dirty out there.
Yeah, I found anytime that there's flowing water on the Salapopka chain, it always seems to move some things around. That place is fairly shallow everywhere, but this is when all those fish will start going into transition. When that water starts raising the way it is, you'll find those fish that were in 4 foot is now 6, 7 foot there where it was 4 foot, and they'll start heading back into that marshy area on the, I guess you'd call that the west side or east side of the lake, um, back towards the spillway and some things like that. And I think those areas start to get populated with fish because the bait will start moving into that shallow water there. And early morning, you can find some schooling fish out on the main lake on Hernando too. But you always want to key in on where the intersections of the flow are. And if you look, there's I think there's, if you look on like Google Earth and stuff like that, you can kind of see where the lakes connect. And I always look from where they start and where they finish, as far as you know, the water flow going into Hernando and the water flow going out, and I try to find the points that are transition areas or intersections in between there that provide good areas for the bait to flow pretty smoothly. And then try to key in on all the ambush points out there. That it's got really good flat pads, so a frog is always in my arsenal. Some sort of buzzing frog, speedworm, a weightless speedworm over the pads is,
Oh, yeah.
you can't go wrong with that, or a fluke. They will absolutely tear up an Arkansas shiner or watermelon red fluke any time of the year on that
Yeah,
lake.
a fluke on Hernando is amazing.
And I hear you like a buzz bait quite a bit on Hernando.
It's become one of those things that I actually bought a rod and meant for it to be something else, and I threw a buzz bait on it once, and it hasn't come off yet. So it's been pretty great.
Yeah, it's been buzzbait's been pretty big for me this year as well. I never threw it up until about 2-3 years ago, and now I can't pick it out of my hand every time we leave the state. But let's see here. Vern says, I'm sure that'll get him fired. But all right. And so I think one of the things we were going to talk about was breaking down a new lake. I know you fished mainly, so you're fairly new to like expanding lakes right now, Ty. So when you've gone to places like you went to Lake Pan for the first time, like last year or so, or a little bit later, what did you do? Obviously, there's a little bit of direction, but what did you do when you first went there? What went through your head when you went on a lake like that that's super shallow?
I think that was very different. Luckily, the first time I went with somebody, and that definitely helped. But going back by myself and trying to figure out the lake and different things like that, I feel like Pan's one of those weird ones where, it's especially for me, for someone that likes to stay close to the bank all the time, and when the bank and the middle of the lake are pretty much the same in depth, it makes you kind of go out a little bit and try to fish that grass line and different things like that and find some of the offshore stuff. But it's definitely a lot different than anything else. And I feel like out there, it was a lot of trying to find different things that like that are, I don't know where I was going with that.
Like, so the differences out there that I usually looked for was when I first went was, deeper water. Because on shallow areas, like one thing about shallow water, even if you're a shallow water fisherman, there's two things that like I always look for in a shallow body of water, and that is usually structure. Because if the water's too shallow for them to be out roaming and be seen, then they want to be behind something, next to something, somewhere that is less out in the middle and out in the open, especially in a lake like that where you can see the bottom, they can see you, the water's really clear, sunny days get really tough out there, like on that kind of stuff. So then the next step is to find the deeper holes in the shallow water, because if there's any kind of wind or any kind of current, you always look for current breaks, or cooler water on a hot day. And so that's one thing that I always look for when I went out there. I think I threw a swim bait most of the day because a buddy of mine was on the back of the boat and I was throwing a speed worm and he was throwing a swim bait, and he was catching them 2 to my 1 on a swim bait, and they were all better. So we switched to, I think it was a Gambler Easy Swimmer. But oddly enough, on a super clear lake like that, it was the first time I'd ever ventured out of the common, like, I'll knock over my microphone here. It's when I, ventured out from the common, like clear water, natural color kind of aspect and went with a June bug, Easy Swimmer. And it was super clear. It was sunny out, and they still ate it all day long. And for whatever reason, they were keyed into that June bug color instead of like a watermelon red or green pumpkin or white or anything like that.
Yeah, Pan on that June bug is definitely, they usually seem to want to hit that quite a bit. Dragging a worm out there is really good. So.
Chatterbaits, things like that, they're always, really good. They've got a lot of shiners, a lot of brim. They, after Irma, they did that stocking program, and there was a bunch of brim put in that lake. So it was, it's been pretty good ever since Irma, pretty much. It's been on fire. But what's another lake that you've been to that's been you've been to a couple lakes that I've never even heard of until you went there?
Which one?
Was that up in Gainesville or Alachua up there?
Oh yeah, I can't give the name of that one. I can't give the name of that one, but it's pretty good.
That sounded pretty cool. But no, I'd like to go to one of those style lakes as well, because there's a couple other ones in the state. And then so you've been to the Harris Chain. We've gone to Griffin before. And that one we were kind of showing you what was going on there. Hunter and I were there catching them on the live scope on my boat, and
Yeah, that was definitely interesting to see for the first time, like fishing or you guys, fishing with electronics and seeing that when I go with you guys compared to, me fishing my boat without it, and just kind of how that works is definitely like a whole nother side to it. That's really
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Well, and it also, I mean, we probably could have caught those fish blind if we would have, just paid attention
Oh
to
yeah.
it, because they were in plain sight,
Mhm.
obviously. They're, marked brush piles and things like
Yep.
that. Vernon Kemp knows nothing about those. But the, you know, some of those things, they come in key at certain points. And we were lucky enough to see some of the fish that weren't exactly in an obvious
Mhm.
spot, but still they were there, and we, caught some good fish that day. But the breaking down the Harris Chain is a huge body of water, so it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
where do you start?
Yep.
So, what when you went, what was the first place? What interests you about the
So
Harris Chain when you went?
Harris was funny. So when we went, I went with you guys, and everyone told me, like go, because it was my biggest thing there was I wanted to go bed fishing for the first time because I'd never done it.
Right.
And everyone said that this spot on the lake should have been clear. And I had like 5 different spots I could run to. Well, that part of the lake ended up being so muddy that I could not see a thing. It was like the most chocolate milk water I've ever seen in my life. It was crazy trying to learn to do that. And so we ended up going to those spots and just trying to like flip for it instead of like bed fishing necessarily. And we ended up catching a few doing that, dragging a speed worm out there. Um, we did that a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely different going to such a huge body of water when I'm used to like, smaller lakes and stuff like that, and trying to break it down was definitely a lot different. And we'll probably need another trip to be able to do that
Yeah,
completely.
and to be fair, it wasn't like the exact best time to go bed fishing that week. They had just pulled off, and they were kind of going on some of the offshore grass stuff,
Mhm.
and there was very few left. I think, Hunter, how many did we catch off of a bed that day? Maybe one. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't many. It was one or two.
It
I
was
think.
kind of well. It was around the open. It was just before the open, probably 3 weeks before the
But
open.
we had a cold snap right before that,
Yeah.
so there was still some offshore, which is why
Yeah.
we were catching them on some of the mark piles and stuff.
Yeah, so it was probably late or early February. So, but yeah, that was, so going there. The first thing that I did, I went with somebody, and the first 3 times I think I went to the Harris Chain, it was always in the like wrong part of the year,
Mhm.
and which is like right now, it's like you can get discouraged right now, um, if you think you're gonna go out there and just go flip and go catch giants all the time. Now there's some really good flipping bites right now, out there, but the one thing that I found out real quick about the Harris Chain was that you had to, like, if you were gonna flip Kissimmee grass, it looks like great because it's around the whole lake,
Mhm.
but you had to go like a mile before you got your first bite. And if you didn't keep your
Jeez.
head down and have enough confidence in that bait you were using, you could either throw the wrong bait that they're just not chewing on that day, or you can go 3 miles of bank and not really catch them
Yep.
until you run into them, and then you run into them real good. But
Fish Fear on Instagram said this is really cool, and he'd love to jump on here one day and give a fishing report.
sure, sure, absolutely. We're always open to having guests. Maybe one day we'll get old Vern Kemp over here and put him on blast on here and see what he does. But no, I think yeah, no, I'm widely open to any kind of fishing reports. Even if somebody wants to put fishing reports in the comments and things like that, we'll definitely highlight them and shout them out. Anybody that knows anything going on in Central Florida in general, I think everybody would love to hear about it. And any kind of assistance or tips are always welcome. Um, so all right, Vern says he's in. um,
You heard it here first, folks.
but yeah, I think the next thing is probably we'll have to focus in a little bit more on some of our. You started fishing the Wednesday nighters too. You
I
did one of them.
fished. Yeah, I fished the one. I think tournament fishing was definitely very different than just me going out and having fun with it and stuff like that. I mean, not that it wasn't fun, but it was just very different. Fishing a tournament compared to fishing.
Is it
on your own and
the
stuff like
pressure
that.
of the time limit and knowing that
Um,
other people are going and
So
trying to?
I think the first biggest thing that was the launch because I had never done that before.
The driving
And
part.
yeah, so where I had Brandon in the boat with me, and I'm like watching all these people. Luckily, I was a really high boat number, so I was pretty much like closer to last, and it worked out because I'm like watching all these other people do this, like running right through the wake from everyone else, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And so when you've only been driving a boat for a little bit, especially when that's not yours, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just ease my way through that a little bit. And other than that, I mean, it was definitely different fishing, knowing that I had a time limit, knowing that I had to catch a limit between that certain time, and trying to figure out when it was good to get the 5 fish or try to go for a big fish. And it was definitely a lot different strategizing for that with me and Brandon compared to just going out and catching whatever, throwing whatever. It was a lot more trying to be tactical about it, I guess, in terms of what you're throwing.
Right. How did you do that night? What was your?
We ended up coming directly halfway. I think it was 12th place
Okay.
out of like 24 boats. So I think what we started with was we just tried to get a limit pretty quick.
Mhm.
We ended up just throwing a Senko, throwing a fluke, stuff like that, which was weird because actually I think our biggest fish came off of what we were just trying to catch smaller stuff off of.
Mhm.
And then other than that, I think we just went and tried to flip a little bit, do stuff like that, throw some frogs, but never really got that big fish. That would put us definitely a little bit farther ahead. But I mean, we had 5 fish, which that was my goal. Me and Brandon both were just if we can get five fish limit, we'll be happy. And we did, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, 4 hours is a really quick
Mhm.
tournament time, and it can go by really quick if you're doing the wrong things.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes it's almost better to like put your confidence in just one bait and just keep going with it, and trying to capitalize on the amount of time that you've got the line in the water, as opposed to constantly switching stuff up and scattering yourself out. If you can come up with 1 or 2 good things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like for me, I learned to fish on a Senko, and that was pretty much my confidence bait. So I
Mhm.
just threw that for most of the night, and ended up working out. So.
You can definitely get a limit on a Senko.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially on that when they've got the exemptions. There's no size limit, so I mean you can keep them. I've weighed in fish that big. I think I've got almost the Hunter's over here laughing.
No comment. I'm just impressed that you got that many to bite. man.
That was the first Wednesday night of this year, and we had no fish at well, it was 9 o'clock weigh-in that night for the first one, and we had no fish at 8:30. And I don't know why I didn't pick it up a lot earlier, but the old 4-inch wacky rig done put it on them, and the last fish that finished our limit, I didn't even know was a fish. I literally thought it was a twig or something that was under the dock, and reeled it in. And I said, "Hunter, holy cow, that's a bass!" And I kid you not, it was literally the same size as my Senko. Dave Cutler would probably say that it was the smallest fish that he's ever seen weighed in. But
I mean, it was so small that it was almost hard to identify it as a bass, Chris.
I searched a while in that weigh bag to put it in the basket too. No, it was quite a feat, but sometimes they eat things that are bigger than them.
I had one of my smallest fish one time on a horny toad, and I'm not even entirely sure how it got in its mouth. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
But all right, so moving on, I think something that I think we get a lot of questions about is when you come to Citrus County. We've had a lot of people move into Citrus County this last couple weeks. They always ask where to start. What would you say is like the first thing we should recommend to anybody that's just getting to Citrus County, just getting to Central Florida, never fished here before, potentially moving from up north? How do you convert them to the way that they've been fishing to what they should probably do to be successful here?
I think one of the biggest things that I noticed from people like fishing other areas and then moving to Florida, and that I think shocks them the most, is line size. I feel like that's always, like standard is 30-pound braid on a bait caster is about the smallest I'll go for like my bait casting stuff, braid wise. And I mean, I think that's usually really different is when you say 50, 60-pound braid, they're throwing frogs and flipping and stuff like that. I think that's one of the biggest things that's definitely different.
Right. And I know there's always like controversy over whether you should go fluorocarbon or braid in Florida because all the grass and stuff like that. And I get different opinions every day, but being semi versatile going out of state and whatnot, I've started throwing a lot more fluorocarbon. I remember when I first started, I was doing a lot more braid, and it was more about the fact that I was not great at casting a bait caster.
Mhm.
And coming from the saltwater side, we always use spinning rods, and spinning reels. And so coming from that to a bait caster, back then my first bait caster, I made the mistake of going to Walmart and buying it was a Pinnacle. It was like I think it was like $30, and it had like hardly any braking system or anything like that. And I got so discouraged right off the bat that I could not cast that thing with 8-pound mono. And it was pre-spool with 8-pound mono. And so then I gave it another try, bought a Abu Garcia Black Max, and I think it was like a Penn Coastal Series rod. It was like I don't know, it was a $30 rod. And because I didn't want to invest a whole bunch of money into it because I had a feeling I was going to throw it in the water by the end of the day. So I ended up getting that rod and reel and found out what the brakes were like. And really, I watched a video on YouTube. And back then, there wasn't many videos about how to do all that stuff. I think it was a Gene Jensen video, Fluke Master throwback. But I looked that up and started casting that around and finally started to figure it out. The real problem was I was throwing a right-handed reel, and being from saltwater stuff, everything I ever had was my left hand.
Oh, I gotcha.
And I switched to a left-handed reel and everything changed for me.
Mhm.
And then I was always putting braid on because I would bird's nest the crap out of a, mono or anything like that. And the braid was a lot easier to not break the line, nick the line, and things like that. And I think that's why I liked it a lot better. So I always put like 50-pound braid on
Mhm.
everything, fished a worm with it, fished everything for the first time. And it was a terrible, terrible thing to do, but it got me more confidence in casting.
Mhm.
Sure. So that's one thing about it. And then, fluorocarbon now has been a lot more. So, there's always the argument of, is it invisible? Is it not? Or, I got a buddy of mine that swears, oh, well, if it's supposed to be invisible, then we could throw 20-pound. It should be fine. And I can tell you in certain situations, 20-pound is not always the answer.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people jumping in. The Proper Bassaman jumped in and said proper. So
Oh,
pretty
boy.
awesome.
We're
Thank
big
you
time now.
guys. We are. The Proper Bassamen are here. Taylor Green said just get a flipping stick with a 1.5 ounce weight.
I agree.
Mr. Jig is on.
He's
on the comments.
Andrew said that's why we carry 10 rods or more. That's very true, Andrew. Evan just joined and said, "What's up, man? Thanks for jumping on." And then Ken had a great question. He said he fishes most of the lakes in Inverness area, Hernando, Henderson, Floral City. He does well, but when he gets to Russo, it seems to be a little bit more difficult. He said he's fishing the 30-foot holes. He's fishing shallow stumps, pads, and using a lot of the same lures, but would like some help and some tips for fishing Rousseau.
Well, Ty gave me a lesson the other day. I was throwing a jerk bait and doing well first thing in the morning because we had a shad spawn. But behind me, he was throwing a 10-inch ribbon tail. How did you have that rigged?
I think I had a 3/16 ounce weight, just free weight, not pegging it, and just letting that hit the bottom. And it was like the more still I could keep it, the more they'd want to hit it.
Russo, they seem to like June bug a lot.
Yeah. June bug. I don't think it was June bug red. I think it was just regular Gambler 10-inch ribbon tail, just regular June bug, and it seemed to work really well.
Yep. And then, the same thing with a speed worm. I think what it comes down to is that they like to see something play chase a little bit. So you get the vibration of the tail. And so once you get the vibration of the tail going, it'll attract them. And then as it kind of like free falls, I think they key in on it. And just as it's about to move again, is usually you go to lift up on it, you'll feel the weight and it disappears.
Yep.
And that part, you almost have to like be soft with your hands on it when they go to when it goes to disappear, and you kind of like reel down until you feel them, and then you can stick them or kind of sweep it like we were talking about, instead of really just giving it to them. You really want to do a full body turn into it to make sure, especially if you're using fluorocarbon or mono, To get the stretch out, you want to make sure you reel down on that heavy. But if you're on braid, you can just kind of reel into it and kind of pull back. But that was one thing that we did that seemed pretty good. But speedworms and June bug, well, June bug, speedworms, and if they're not eating June bug and it's real sunny, I would say watermelon red's always a great alternative, or green pumpkin. I throw
Pretty
green
much
pumpkin
anywhere in Florida that seems to
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Especially in tannic water, green
Mhm.
pumpkin's great.
Colby Robertson jumped in and he said June bug speedworm as well.
He knows
So,
nothing about a June bug speedworm.
sure he doesn't. But I think, Ken, too, the other thing is I'd pay attention to is, as this water temperature continues to climb in Florida, slow down like they're talking about with a worm and stuff, but pick apart those isolated stumps and things like that, because those fish are going to suck really tight to that cover. So instead of, covering a lot of water, sometimes if you slow down and pick apart that individual cover, especially, that vertical cover that sets up in a place like Russo.
Absolutely. Something else that works really good out there. Later in the day, we went flipping, and in the backwaters there, in some, had it not been as clear as it was, I've never seen
Yeah,
it
that
that
was-
clear
that was
as it was
crazy.
that day. There was some really nice pennywort mats and things like that. But the key to that area of having a really good flipping area, and I've always caught good fish back there. I know people have caught fish on shiners back there that really, really well, multiple double-digit fish. And in that area, there was tons of bluegill beds. Like all the tilapia, it looked like tilapia beds that were all through there
Mhm.
that had been taken over by the bluegill. And I think that was a big key to holding those fish there, is the amount of bluegill beds that were in that spot.
Yeah, that was some of the biggest bluegill I've ever seen fishing. I mean, that was insane.
And this time of year also, that on any lake, you got the bluegill spawn going on all over the place. Anywhere you see those bluegill beds or bluegill that are like hitting your baits, that means they're really, really active. And those are really good areas to target too, with swim jigs, chatterbaits, topwaters, poppars. You might catch a lot of bluegill and poppars. I found that out. But Devil's Horse is always another really good one in Florida, especially first thing in the morning when it's
yeah.
calm. And I think everybody's got their own way of reeling a Devil's Horse, it seems. I've not heard one customer come in and tell me the same way to work a Devil's Horse.
Yeah, it's I'll watch. It's one of my favorite things to throw, and everyone. I agree. Everyone I see does it a little bit different, and I watched a lot of videos to try to learn how to throw it, and kind of figured out what worked for me on that. And it's definitely one of my favorite things to throw.
And that's almost any bait too.
Mhm.
I don't think that you can listen to what people tell you to do, but until you experience it,
Yep.
figure out the different cadences and things that work for you. Just like, I go fishing like Dawson on the back of the boat
Mhm.
with me. I'll throw a jerk bait one way. He throws a completely different way. Sometimes I'll catch more fish with my cadence. Sometimes he'll catch more with his, or his will be bigger, or mine will be bigger. But it's, it comes down to, we're throwing the same exact bait. And somehow, there's a little bit of a difference that
Yep.
you don't know. And sometimes you can't even force it. It's almost like you just have to like put your eyes into the bait and just kind of think of what you would like that fish to eat it presentation wise.
Yep.
But I think that's James Green is watching from the hospital. Hope everything's okay.
Yeah. Hope everything's all good, James. Let us know if you need anything, man.
All right.
East Coast asked on Instagram, does the speedworm ever work for you when fishing in Maryland?
So once again, that's an interesting story. So I owe him a trip when we go up to Maryland. We will actually be there. When were we going? The 23rd, we're leaving. We won't have much time at that point. But we will be on the way back from Oneida. We probably have a little bit of opportunity, but we actually, in September, we probably got more opportunity than anything, because we're going to have a couple days to kind of figure out what we need to do between the Thousand Islands tournament and Lake Norman. But I have not actually fished in Maryland. I've heard crankbaits are a lot, like, really good in the reservoirs up there, and in certain areas with smallmouths. Dawson swears by a tube. Dawson's probably the one to ask anything about Maryland fishing, but I have not tried a speedworm much out of state, but I do know in Tennessee they like a speedworm for sure. Chickamauga, we caught them pretty good.
Evan Chilcox and Taylor Green both agreed that when it's clear, they like green pumpkin, a burner craw, or green pumpkin or watermelon red, anything. They find a lot of success. And Evan said even on Amistad, he does really well on that. And then Vernon Kemp said 80% of bait choice is confidence in what you were doing. That's a
That
very
is
true statement.
For sure. For sure. I think the fish know when you're not putting something out there with your full confidence. Or, the other thing is you probably don't cast it as much. I think that I attribute anytime I don't have confidence in a bait, I notice I pick it up for 5 minutes and set it back down.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's the that's probably the thing that really kills it is when you don't give it the time of day.
That's me with a big swim bait for sure.
Well, what do you call a big swim bait? So everybody's got a different version of a big swim bait. If you're from Florida, a
Mag
big
draft
swim.
and up.
Okay, so if you're from Florida, a lot of times a big swim bait is like a Big Easy.
Yeah.
And now
I have
we've
confidence
transformed
in that,
from big swim bait being Big Easy to mag drafts, swim, glide baits, things like that. And so, like Big Easies on swim jigs and things like that are a huge profile.
Oh yeah.
But I think now we've kind of shifted to where you're seeing the mega bass stuff be very, very common in a lot of tournaments, whether they're here or out of state. Even on lakes that you would think that it'd be one on like a drop shot, they're winning on mag drafts and big swim baits like that too. So I don't know if that's like an all day thing sometimes, or if that's going to be like, I've got my 5, let's go for the big fish. But Panasofsky, I bet they need a big swim bait.
I missed one on a mag draft at Pan one time. That seemed pretty good.
Yep.
Speaking of Panasofsky, Braxton wants to know what you guys think the how many pounds do you 3 think it will take to win on Pan on Saturday?
I would call 31.5 pounds. That's what I'm going to put on my board.
Ty?
I mean, if you fish it the way I do, 5 pounds.
Oh, come on. Brandon caught a 5-pounder behind you, didn't he?
Oh, he caught 2 5-pounders before I got my line in the
so
water.
There's at least 10.
Yeah.
There's a team tournament Saturday night, by the way.
Oh, man.
I'm going to go with 32.
30. Oh, all right. Price is right, man. I see.
Price is right.
Yeah. All right. So we got the Price is Right going on. We got 5 over here, and we've got 30.
That's only a 5 minute.
That means anything over 32, I win.
All right. So what's the small bag? That's the real question. Smallest 5 fish limit.
That's going to happen this weekend?
Yes.
8 pounds.
Probably 11.
11. All right. So anybody watching, here's what we're going to do. The smallest 5 fish limit, I'm going to give Dave Cutler the prize. It'll be a $25 gift card to 44 Tackle for the smallest 5 fish limit weighed in on Panasofsky. So what's going to happen now is anybody who's got less than 20 pounds at 8 o'clock is going to start calling backwards. But that's a real deal, though. We will absolutely go ahead and do $25. Dave doesn't even know this. He's going to kill me. What are you doing talking about my tournament like that? No, $25 to the smallest 5 fish limit will be what we'll kick in this week. Mama Bear commented in.
Oh, gosh.
It could mean anything.
Oh, gosh.
Do you want me to read this one, Ty?
Probably not.
Well, let's tell the audience who
Oh,
outfishes who, Brandon or Ty.
Can I just say me? Because I can't. If I have to hear one more time that he has a bigger PB than me, I'm gonna lose it.
We'll have to go get him one. He says he doesn't want to do it on a shiner, though.
No, it's gotta be artificial.
So I'll give him that. But how long have you been like seriously bass fishing?
Seriously bass fishing?
Because like you've always fished with your dad growing up in some way, shape, or form, but like seriously looking into
seriously bass fishing, considering I have more rods than him now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'd say probably 3 years.
3 years. But the man, how many rods do you have, Ty?
17.
Does your mom know that?
Sadly, yes. Going for 20.
Going for 20. Oh boy, now you need a boat.
Yeah.
Like a bass boat.
Yeah, I'm tired of using my dad's because then I can't put my rods in it, and taking 17 rods with you and carrying those every time is not fun.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I've had a co-angler bring 14 before on an open.
You should see it in the John boat when me and Brandon go, and I have 17 and he's got like 12. It's fun.
Oh, how many broken rods has that produced?
Not because of that, but Brandon has a tendency to like to break rods when he
Oh.
gets angry. He can't do that anymore though because he buys expensive rods now.
Oh,
But
well, there you go.
when we first started, that was fun.
Brandon's gonna kill you later.
Oh yeah.
So let's see, this week we have a huge update. We've got, I don't know if for anybody who's seen my TikToks and if you haven't, this is how you find out when we get product, because I put them on there first. So if you want a secret to being able to get the inside scoop on when we get products, follow me at Chris Kingery Fishing on TikTok, because that's the easiest, fastest way for me to put it up there. And you get a little bit of entertainment in the process. Sometimes we get Dawson out in the parking lot fishing. Sometimes we've got Ty doing different things or playing pranks on Austin.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. So follow on there, because we this week got a huge order of Zoom products, mainly speedworms and Mag U-Vibe speedworms. So that's pretty exciting. We've got the big colors back in. So a lot of watermelon red, Junebug red. We haven't really run out of Junebug Mag speedworms, but the regular size we still haven't got in. But we're still waiting on that. And then the other thing that we were pretty excited about was getting a lot of the Strike King stuff back in stock. We're working on Guggen next week, I believe, is we're going to try to get that back pretty heavily. And then Megabass too. That's next on the list as well to make sure that we're on top of, because we're almost out of almost any kind of swim bait from Megabass and a couple key jerk baits. I'm sure these guys are probably going to want me to make sure that they're in stock before we go to New York. That'll be a big deal for the smallmouth bite. And Vern Kemp says, Ty, go out to the middle of the day and throw nothing but a big Zara spook and chrome and throw it all day and you'll catch a big one.
See, I definitely, a spook out there is awesome.
Especially on Panasofsky. You could probably throw that all day, all weather.
That's what Brandon had the 2 5s in the boat with.
And you didn't take the hint?
Oh, I got my tackle, man. I take that.
The was it the
bone tackle spook?
Yep. Yeah, the top water that they have. Oh, Rainer said hi to your mom.
Oh.
And then what else did we do this week? That was a little exciting. We got pinfish traps in pretty heavily. Grouper plugs. We got a ton of bombers back in stock. So anybody that likes the shallow water grouper stuff, we got the bombers. We got the Rapala 30-foot divers as well for the guys that are out in 30-foot catching gags.
I'm going to throw a wild card in there. We also got gator treble hooks in. So all you guys getting ready to gator hunt.
Anybody getting ready for gator season. We've had a lot of requests early already saying that they cannot find gator hooks. We have a bunch. So we are all stocked up for gator season as far as that goes. I have not gone as far. We've got plenty of the heavy line as well, the 120, 100 pound braid. I think we're working on getting some of the heavier leader into, because last year I got yelled at for not having heavy enough leader. So I'll try to get some of that 300 and 600 pound leader. Rainer says, what about bubble blades? Unfortunately, we don't have bubble blades, but we have lots of Danco knives. We've done really well with the Danco knives, and the Dancos are really good. We got the Danco gift set and all that stuff too. Then FishTube on TikTok says, what's up? How's it going? And then let's see what else we got in this week. There's something else important. What was it, Hunter? It was we've got more horny toads than anybody in Central Florida. I would put us up against it. That our horny toad collection is out of the control, but we are, that's a staple in our area, and we will not run out of watermelon red horny toads for the rest of the year, I don't think. That's a challenge, by the way. Anybody that wants to challenge that, bring it.
Challenge accepted.
Oh, Ty says he's going to sell you a horny toad.
Oh, I meant to myself.
Oh, you're going to buy them all?
Yeah.
Oh. I'd almost allow that, I suppose. Anybody who doesn't realize, we actually ran the other day. Our employees are our best customers on record for the year. So that's an interesting fact that we didn't know till the other day.
My mom will be proud if she just heard that.
Sorry, Tracy. You can beat him when he gets home.
Because I am number one at that.
Oh, now you outed yourself. I just said top.
Well, it's out there now.
But do we carry Producto worms? Vern Kemp says. We used to. I have a private stash that people who know that I have that private stash may ask for it. Depending on the colors you're looking for or size. I've only got the tournament worms, but anybody looking for those, I may know where to find some. But what else do we have? We stocked our deep diver crankbaits are pretty heavily stocked for the summertime stuff for people going out of state to Tennessee and up north. And then we've been working real hard on trying to get our line's actually been pretty good. Power Pro's been in stock pretty heavily as well.
We got all the new C-Spin and Gecko stuff in.
So. Absolutely. Yes. Gecko and C-Spin products, the Bruco worms, those things are great. They smell ungodly, but they catch fish. If anybody has any question about Bruco worms or any of the Gecko products, Dan Fay is the guy. Follow him on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. It's Famous Fisherman, FAYMOUS Fisherman. On all of those channels. He does really good stuff. He's got like over 300,000 followers on TikTok, as well as a bunch on his YouTube and Instagram profiles. But he does some really good videos. And I think he's live like almost every night on TikTok, fishing out of his kayak. So if you want to see cast to catch of those baits working, he does it. And he only exclusively fishes Gecko products. So he does the jerk baits, the top waters, the Bruco worms, the Persuader paddle tails. Those are a great swim bait. It's just a little bit different type of product that you haven't really seen. That's why we brought it in the store, is because we need, in a world of a lot of similar baits and types and durabilities, that it's one of the most durable, I would say, stick baits on the market, and it flat catches them. And then let's see. Yes, we are selling the that's a question on TikTok I got from FishTube. We are selling the Gecko products. And they're available on our website. Anybody that is watching that isn't a local to us, at 44tackle.com, we've got all of the products, almost every product in our store on there. If it's not on there, please give us a call and we'll be able to let you know if we do have it or can get it. We offer free shipping over $35. Any orders over $35, we'll do free shipping on everything except for rods. And then, I just got something.
Yeah, Taylor brought up a great point. We restocked on all Gambler stuff this week as well, too. Right. So there's pretty much no empty pegs on Gambler in
Absolutely.
The store.
Yeah, we've got, all the new colors of the swim baits, some of the really cool colors, the cracked copper, the bruised copper. Taylor's favorite trout tickler. He's going to kill me for telling people that, but that is a really good saltwater color. And then I think there's one called Vid 19, a little controversial color there. And was it Speedo or swimsuit or I can't remember. That's a pink one. I can't remember.
Stripper pink.
Stripper pink. That was it. That one is a color on Gambler swim baits now. It is bright pink. It's almost like just short of methylate. So we've got a bunch of that. There's been a tag to the Byron Childers of Missile Bait, formerly of Gambler. Byron McMissile. Anybody else? Let's see here. We've got coming up. I know Citrus County Bassmasters, the Bass Nation Club will be on Harris on Sunday, as well as Dave Cutler's Open on, and that's Citrus Bass. That will be on Panisofsky at Tracy's Point at 5 p.m. Obviously, the Wednesday nighters are still going on. Weights were a little different this week. They actually fished the Wednesday nighter during the, well, I'd say during the hurricane, but before or after the hurricane passed. We got lucky in our area because we didn't really, see the full effects of it. It kind of pushed offshore before it got to us. So we were very lucky there. We actually stayed open the whole time. I was, I always struggle making the call on if we should come to work or not, because you never know what these storms do until the day of. And so we ended up, coming in. Austin got here on time, and I came in a couple hours late, and we ended up making it work. And actually, we had a lot of the linemen that came in and hung out with us while they were waiting to go to their different areas. They didn't really have as much work as they planned on, so they ended up moving out. But we thank all those guys for their time away from their families and stuff like that to keep us going. And then somebody asked if I didn't want to talk to them on TikTok. Oh, somebody called I am bored on TikTok. That said hi about 15 times. Sorry, buddy.
Ryan and Evan said that Reaction Innovations has the funniest color names on the market.
Hands down.
Yeah. I think we all agree with that one.
Yeah.
Some that we'd just rather not even mention, to be honest.
That's We'll keep it PG-13 today. But there's maybe one day we'll do a favorite colors board on the Reaction stuff. But it's I think the next couple days we're going to be getting ready for ICAST coming up. All the guys here will be heading over to ICAST in a couple weeks. There's some really really cool new products coming out. We've got, let's see, what was your favorite one that you've seen so far that you're excited to see, Ty?
I don't know if I have seen anything.
Oh, you haven't looked at any of the previews yet?
No, I'm excited because I actually get to go this year in person, so that'll be really cool. I get to be surprised this year.
Let's see. So I would say probably so far what I've seen, I think I'm most excited to see some of the new Z-Man products for sure. The Turbo Fatties, they just announced the Helicross. We talked about that last week. Something else I did not know about until just now, or till the other day, was they've got a new swim bait, and I wish I would have brought it up ahead of time. It's a pre-rigged swim bait. It comes in a 4 and a 5 inch. But it's going to be, it's got a belly weight in it already with like a 5/0 and a 7/0 hook in it. That's going to be a really good bait. And I think actually some of the saltwater guys are really going to like it. Because last year we sold a bunch of the bigger swim baits for the inshore grouper guys in the fall. And I think that's going to be a key bait for them, as well as some of the guys that ledge fish and things like that. It's just a heavy bait. And then Berkeley's got the Gilly, as well as all the new MaxScent stuff. They've got a bigger version of the flatworm, which you've probably seen some of the guys that were in the St. Lawrence River last week using that 4 1/4 inch flatworm. What else did we see? There's a couple new swim baits from, was it Agent E? I think was a swim bait coming out. And then you had MaxScent had the Chigger Craw is now going to be in a MaxScent instead of just the power bait stuff. There's a lot of things. It almost looked like I didn't ask about it yet, but it looks like the General got a makeover in the material that it's made out of in the MaxScent stuff as well. So it's a little bit more like a traditional Senko material instead of the porous kind of MaxScent style that we're used to. I think Hunter had something.
Yeah, Evan said that he never knew 44 tackle until Matt Robertson. So we appreciate you coming over, man. Matt crushed him today. So y'all jump on Bassmaster.com tomorrow and watch Matt weigh in on day 3. Taylor Green said he's excited about the Hypermag spinning reel. That's going to be a really awesome one that gets dropped. They previewed it a little bit at the Classic, but I'm sure we'll get to put our hands on it at ICAST. And Ryan said the Booyah swim jig. So that the Booyah swim
Yep.
jig will be good too. They've been working on that a lot. And then Chris won the Open on the Arkansas River using that bait. That's a prototype that they've been working on for like 2 to 3 years, I think. So it'd be really exciting to see that come to market.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I'm always excited. We get all these press releases and notices, weeks leading up to ICAST, and it kind of takes the surprise out. But the thing that always gets me is I look forward at ICAST every year to going and seeing some of the smaller companies that don't have the ability. Oh no, Byron Childers is in the house.
He's
can't be
in the
good.
house.
That can't be good. Oh, he's gonna kill us. We didn't mention like the most important product.
We haven't got to the most important product yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I like the smaller vendors that show up there because they don't have the marketing budgets to be able to blast out to the masses like a lot of the others with their new products. And you find some like really cool niche products that you don't really get to see. And sometimes those companies don't even really make it past ICAST because they get an offer from a bigger company to get bought out, which has happened several times. And Missile Baits is going to be releasing a new chunk. And that's going to be, so far I've seen the pictures of that, and that's very exciting for us because we got a lot of guys that throw swim jigs and flip jigs and things like that, and it looks like it's going to have a ton of action and great body. And yes, Byron says I've already got them on order. My Missile Baits rep says they are on order.
That's right. It's going to pair really well with their new swim jig coming out too.
Absolutely. The swim jig's got a really short head on it, which is a little bit different than you're used to seeing. It's almost like a regular swim bait head on it, as opposed to like a normal, like a normal grass swim jig. So I'm going to be interested to see how that pans out in Florida. I'm sure, knowing John really well, he's done hundreds of thousands of tests before this even got to where it's at. So it's one of those deals because he's told us all the stories about how he, fishes with the stuff 100 million times in the pool and gets yelled at by his neighbors before he even gets close to telling the guys at Missile about that stuff.
That's right. And now I'm going to have to put down the Shockwave a little bit and start picking up the new chunk.
Or you could put the Shockwave on the new swim jig.
Oh, that's even better.
I know Hunter's like the #1 Shockwave fan in the world. But you put your chunk on the Ikes. You don't even have the new chunk, Rainer. Do you even fish anymore, Rainer? Sorry. But I think we carry pretty much, and Byron can correct me, but I think we carry almost everything. Oh yeah, Byron, by the way, while I remember, I've been asked repeatedly today to get with you and make sure that I remember to order missile bags. So please put 100 missile bags on my order because we're going to need to get those ready. Byron said Rainer doesn't fish anymore. So Ty's been a little bit quiet over here. Kind of.
Hey, I'm supposed to be behind the camera, man.
Ty usually runs the video switcher and all that stuff, but tonight he's on the hot seat. So
I told them this was a bad idea, by the way.
So since Byron's on here, monitoring, what is your favorite missile bait product?
The D-Bomb for sure.
The D-Bomb. What color?
GP3.
GP3. So my favorite, if I had a favorite for D-Bomb, is one that I'm not able to get.
Oh yeah,
because of some restrictions. But Black and Blue is out there. But we have Ballistic Bruiser in place of Black and Blue because there's only one place that can have Black and Blue. But anyways, so I think that leading into this week, we've got some cool stuff coming. Next week, we will have, I'm sure, some surprise local guests. Hopefully we can catch up with a couple different people along this week and find out what's going on. Especially, I'm interested to find out what actually wins the Panasofsky night tournament weight wise. And keep in mind that'll be one of the things that we are going to do the $25 gift card for that. So for the smallest 5 fish limit. I think wrapping everything up. Do we have any more questions before we sign off tonight?
Ryan on Instagram mentioned AFCO will drop something big, so he will definitely. They got a couple new rain suits coming and things like that, and we carry the full
Yes.
line of
Yep.
AFCO, so we'll definitely look in. I also saw they're dropping a backpack, which is pretty cool.
Ooh,
for
I'd be
some
excited
paddling.
about that for sure. Yeah, AFCO, we brought in pretty strong this year. Their rain gear sells really well down here. The hydronaut suit we carry, the hydronauts, pretty much tops and bottoms. And then all of the shirts are very lightweight. They got the hood built in, and so it's been really good. Also, we've got the full line of Mustang Survival life jackets. And Hunter can hook you up with the exact details on which one to buy. He's a professional when it comes to life jackets.
That's right. I take a lot of passion in it, so anything with boating safety, life jackets, I'd be more than happy to help.
Vern Kemp wants to know about the 6th Sense stuff.
Yeah.
Oh boy! All right, Ty. Now that Ty's on the hot seat, he can tell us all about what he likes about 6th Sense stuff. What pitch me, Ty? Why do we need to bring in 6th Sense stuff?
Swim jigs for sure.
Okay.
I have my favorite swim jig that I've used. They got some amazing colors. All their colors on like their hard baits and stuff like that just seem to be really well like painted and stuff like that. Just really good colors. Their soft plastics are really good. It's actually what I used when I fished that one Wednesday nighter that I did. I did the what's the name of their Senko? It's called the Clout. Clout.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm supposed to be the 6th Sense person.
Yep.
I don't remember. But yeah, they got some really good stuff. Some of my favorite stuff.
If you had to pick 5 baits for us to carry right off the bat, what would it be? Vernon Kemp, that goes for you too.
5 baits. Their swim jig for sure. The heavy cover swim jig,
Right.
Braided one. Their Senko. The put me on the spot.
Hey.
Trying to think of what it's the 10-inch. It's not like a regular 10-inch worm, but it's the I can't remember the name of it. But their bigger worm that they have is really good. One of their crankbaits for sure.
Vernon Kemp says we got to carry more than 5.
Oh yeah, we got to carry all of it.
Vern, what? I believe Vern's like one of the big crankbait experts in the area. What crankbait would you say is your favorite 6th Sense crankbait, Vern? All right, keep going. While we wait for Vern.
How many was it? I think that was 3. 2 more. I'd say their jerkbait is really good. And then other than that, if I had to pick one more, actually, I'm gonna pick 2 more because flipping in Florida is awesome. So I'd say the prawn and the stroker crawl. And then definitely their Vega frog is really good as well.
Has Taylor Green chimed in to tell us we're wrong?
Of course.
There it is.
He actually said, "Dang, Ty, you're slacking."
Hey man, they got to put me in the spot tonight.
Evan did say, he said the Crush 50X, the Ridge Worm, the
That's
Clout,
what it is.
the Shaky Worm, and the Axis.
Yeah, the ridge worm is the bigger worm I was trying to come up with.
Vern says divine everything, all their crankbaits, anything Crush.
Vern's right. That is a lot more than 5.
It is a lot more than 5. They've got a crankbait to do anything and wiggle any way that you could want it to wiggle.
Taylor said the Ridge Worm, the C15, the Divine Braid Swim Jig, the Prawn, and the Flush.
See, that's what we're looking for. Mr. Jig is very exact. Anybody that doesn't know anything, we'll bring Taylor on one of these days here shortly and explain the Mr. Jig. But I think that 6th Sense is on the horizon here shortly. We'll wait till iCast and really go get a good look at everything when we can see it in person. We did carry it for a little while, and
I can bring it all in person. It's all in my bag. I pretty much have a shop of 6th Sense stuff in my bag at this
Vern
point.
also says the suspending lipless are really nasty too.
Mhm.
So no, I think iCast will bring all that to perspective, and maybe we'll put an order in at iCast, with adult supervision, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, Joe Campbell is exactly right. I think read that. You see that comment?
Joe said you need a bigger store.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We always need a bigger store. Anybody that wants to come help make that happen, I am on board. But no, we are on to growing, and I'm looking forward to bigger things in the future, but we've got to crawl before we can walk. So we're working towards all that stuff. Vern says Casey at Six Sense is a great guy to work with as well. I believe Joe and Vern fish a lot of the similar areas in the springtime and Dead River a little bit here and there. I've run into them several times in there. But I think we've had a really good show tonight, and we're looking forward to it. Ty, how can everybody follow you? Everybody in our store here, all the employees, they're promoting their own fishing channels and things like that here in the store, and we're empowering everybody to kind of do their own thing and have their own voice as relates to our store. So go ahead and let everybody else know where they can find you online.
So for right now, mainly Instagram is what I post on the most. I think it's, let me make sure I'm right here.
FTW Fishing.
FTW Fishing.
FTW.fishing. And then hopefully more to come with like TikTok and YouTube and stuff here soon. But should be fun.
And as always, you can find me at Chris Kingery Fishing on any channel that you can want. And it's TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whole 9 yards. And then obviously 44 Tackle on all of the channels as well. And Hunter, where can we find you again?
All the channels at Hunter Bland Fishing. And Byron Childers says you can at Byron_Childers to follow him as well.
And don't worry, next week you can definitely find me behind the camera.
And all people looking for missile bait sponsorships, go right to Byron. He will direct you in the right direction. He gives those free sponsorships away, he says. But everybody, we want to thank you. It's been a great night. We look forward to it. Anybody that's ever wanting to be a guest on here or whatnot, please DM me, and we'll see if we can make that happen. We love having different opinions and different questions and perspectives. So I'm looking forward to getting out of town again here in New York. We got a busy couple weeks coming up, and so let's have a great July.